You know who I met this weekend that looked incredible? I know, completely side random topic. I was at the Bucs-Redskins game in Tampa and met John Riggins. One of the nicest people I've ever met. But I'm watching this guy walk around. He just bebops around. He's fine.
He doesn't look like he has any problems.
Doesn't look like there's one thing wrong with him. How many 1,000-yard seasons did he have?
True.
And what a stud he was. And I'm just sitting there going like, wow, he's living right.
You were in town for the Jets-Broncos too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to think. Was that the game that they honored all the ex-Jets? They brought in Super Bowl
Joe Namath
and all those guys?
Yeah, I know Namath.
Yeah, how do those guys look compared to John Riggins?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, like Namath looks like he fought some real battles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you look at John Riggins, who you know is a tank, who you know put it down. He looks fine.
Yeah.
Just rolling along. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, what are you eating, man? Like what's the secret? You know, where's the fountain of youth?
Tickets on sale tomorrow now via Ticketmaster because this on-sale party deal was canceled because of the weather for WrestleMania 35.
Yeah, but tickets are on sale. It's all good. We're rolling
awesome.
forward. There'll be another party.
So
I'll do the Mamba.
Right. So you did. It looks like you're in pretty good shape right now. And
I'm in pretty good shape. Yeah, I tweaked the hamstring, so I'm moving a little slow.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm okay.
I mean, it's got to be very difficult. I know that because of your size and because of your height, it's led to a great career.
Right.
And everybody just looks at you as this mammoth man. But dealing with that day to day cannot be
dealing
an
with
easy
what day
thing.
to day? Being recognized? Or?
No. The largeness of you. I mean, and having to.
Yes, my largeness is very difficult to deal with.
Managing,
tough.
Managing that, like getting out of bed, getting older. I mean, at some point, it's not cool anymore, right?
There's a lot of people out there that go through a lot worse than I do. I'm thankful every day I get to wake up and do what I do. I'm not one of those guys that sits, oh, woe is me. That's not my deal, because you look at everything in your life that's bad, you can look right over and find somebody else that's got a lot worse. So be thankful, be appreciative, and do what you got to do.
It's amazing when everybody gets found. It's a weird way, right? So you supposedly, as I was reading your bio and everything, were found by, what was it, Danny Bonaducci?
Danny Bonaducci, yeah.
I mean, how the hell did he find you?
Well, stupid, crazy story. I was working for a guy in Chicago who owned a karaoke company. And he had like 80 or 90 shows a week across Chicago where he had DJs out and rented out karaoke equipment. And he was charging $750, $1,000, $1,200 a night for the karaoke equipment and DJ. And all these bars were paying cash. And so I answered phones during the day. Hello, this is Jesco Karaoke. May I help you? Hardware, software. And then at night I would ride around with him because, I was a small country boy and had just been through a lot of stuff. And so he showed me the big city of Chicago. And then he started doing a morning drive show where people would come in and sing on Danny Bonaducci's radio show. And some were good, like American Idol. Some were good and some were god-awful. Well, then we get to talking to Danny because I was young and it was obvious I needed to get my life straight and do something. So it was either try to make the practice squad for the Bears, try to become an offensive tackle, or give this pro wrestling thing a shot. And I remember thinking, because I at the football part of it, I was a good football player in high school, but that doesn't mean squat. In the professional leagues, you're dealing with guys that are, unconscious competence, reflex fluidity. I mean, I'm just a big hunk of meat. I don't know what I'm doing. So, they'd use me, but could I be successful at it? I didn't really think so. You know what I mean? With the wrestling, I'm a clown, I'm a show-off, and I figure, well, I'll have fun with it at least. It's an adventure, I'm young, maybe I'll get to see something, and I was always a fan. Little did I know that I was going to fit perfectly right into it, fit a niche that needed to be filled, and see the entire world.
So
and have the greatest
he introduced you to Hulk Hogan, though, right? Is that where it started,
there was a charity basketball game. It was Danny Bonaducci and his secret partner against Hulk Hogan and Mr. T in a charity halftime basketball event.
Were you the secret partner?
I was the secret weapon.
I like it.
So that was it. So I met Hulk and did the worst thing you could ever do when you first meet a pro wrestler is I did an impersonation.
Oh.
Which luckily he dug it because it showed I had charisma, but now that I'm older, I'm like, that could have went south real bad. Let me tell you something, brother. I've been to the top of the mountain, dude. Which is great.
That's
pretty good.
What you did when you first met him?
When I first met him.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those kind of things where you're like, that's either a good one or a bad one. Luckily for me, it worked out as a good one.
I've got some experience with that. Big Show.
Making bad moves?
Well, no.
Well, you just asked for a hug earlier.
Yeah,
and that was a bad move.
doing impersonations of people getting upset. It's a long story. We'll talk off the air.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so when you first get into that level of wrestling, you're bigger than everybody. How did you have to adjust to, as they say in the business, I learned from Taz down the hall, working with smaller guys and making that work? Did you have to adjust because you could toss everybody around?
I think the biggest problem I had is I was too gentle for breaking, because I was very respectful of everyone I worked with. You understand, I started with Hogan, then Savage, then Flair, then Arn Anderson and Sting and Luger. Like, I worked with a lot of guys that were seasoned veterans that I appreciated and was a fan of. So I was very gentle working with them. And that was a lot of criticisms that I had earlier in my career, as I wasn't aggressive enough. I didn't go after these guys enough. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I mean, what do you mean? What do you mean? You don't understand that there's a time for business that I got to be a giant and got to be aggressive. And it took me a while to understand what everybody was wanting from me, because I wasn't The Undertaker, who's one of the most phenomenal athletes ever, and I wasn't Andre. So I was a combination of the two and trying to find my own way. Like, I'd do a drop kick off the top, the fans would go crazy. I'd get to the back, I'd have 4 or 5 people yelling at me for doing a drop kick off the top. So it's like, what am I doing wrong? You know what I mean? I'm trying to be exciting for the fans, but yet I'm getting the brakes put on me at the same time. Our business has evolved, even with the influx of UFC and stuff like that. So there's more legit martial arts holds involved, and it's not quite as theatrical as it was in the Tony Gurria days. But and there's a name I'll throw you from the past.
Okay.
But all in all, it's a safer environment for the athletes today. It's a lot better environment. Like, when I started, we didn't even have athletic trainers. I knew how to tape ankles from playing basketball, so I used to tape Macho's ankles. Brother, you know how to tape ankles? Tape my ankle. I'll buy the tape and the beer if you'll tape my ankle. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Hey, was in the script, were you supposed to be, like, in some way related to Andre the
Yeah,
Giant?
that was the gimmick, because I had the long hair, and when Hogan first saw me, he thought I looked like a young Andre. Mm-hmm. So that was the gimmick there. And that was things you did back then, you know what I mean? You had these outlandish gimmicks, and at first it was kind of rough, because, like, you want to set your own mark and be your own man and not be in the shadow of someone else. But the other time, it's an honor to be attributed to a legend of that caliber, and know that people that worked with Andre thought, yeah, this kid could probably fill his shoes. That was a big honor. But it's still tough. I get people that come up all the time like, I love watching your dad for years. My whole family, I'm thinking, my dad was a mechanic. You watched him, that's kind of weird. Yeah. But, there are some fans that took it to heart, and they really wanted to keep that going. And so hopefully now we've made them into Big Show fans.
We're talking to the Big Show on Boomer and Geo on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. And you don't have any, like, crazy out of the ring stories like Andre.
Sure,
I mean, but like drinking 55 bottles of wine, like stuff like that came out. Like,
I mean, Andre was a whole nother level, and some of that stuff I think is inflamed due to legend. Yeah. One of the stories that I'll tell you, Andre the Giant, as a man that was respected in the locker room there in Madison Square Garden, and Andre was a card player. He played cribbage and he played gin. So he's playing cards, and he had a bottle on the corner of his little table of this very expensive French liqueur that he liked. Well, locker room guys get to horsing around sometimes and playing. So somebody bumped into Andre's table, and Andre's bottle fell over and broke. Now, you're in Madison Square Garden. This is a big show. The guy who shall remain nameless to protect his identity got in a cab, left the garden, like, screw his match, I got to leave the garden, drove across town, found a liquor store that had Andre's liqueur, bought it, took a cab back to the building. And his other buddy that was screwing around cleaned up the mess. He set the bottle on the table, and Andre goes, thank you. He never said, hey, WTF, why'd you break my stuff? Never raised his voice, never got upset, never stopped playing cards, because he knew somebody's going to go out and get him another bottle. That's the boss.
I wonder, when you get into the ring, is there ever a guy that you like, all of a sudden you guys don't sync up and you actually get angry with each other, or where there is some sort of like...
Well, it's an ego business. It's competitive, but the anger comes from not being on the same page and trying to communicate. Because if guys really fight in the ring, let's be honest, real fights are boring and last about 30 seconds. You know what I mean? You want to put on the best show possible for the fans. There are some guys that try to manipulate things their way and do things they shouldn't. And, there's political ways of doing things and talking to them. And sometimes you might tighten up a little bit or work a little bit more snug to smarten them up. But that's never a good thing. Because guys that pull dumb crap like that in the ring don't last very long in this business, because this is a business of trust. I'm trusting you to take care of my body. You're trusting me to take care of yours. If I can't trust you, I can't work with you. If I can't work with you, I can't make money with you. If I can't make money with you, I ain't got time for you. And that's just
that's how I
simple.
felt about him when he started here with me. I said to him, if I can't trust you, I can't work with you. If I can't make money, then I definitely can't work with you.
Right. So, and that's the whole thing. And any time you have breakdowns like that in the ring and the imagination, the theater of the mind is always great for our fans. But if stuff like that happens, the fans lose because they don't get the product they deserve. They don't get the entertainment product they paid for. They just get some BS. And it's not, professionally, no, I haven't had any trouble with that because all the guys I've worked for have been very respectful too, and they've been respectful to me. So now you get some guys that are just a little stiffer than others.
Yeah.
Like Sheamus is like wrestling a bag of hammers. The whole time I had that program with Sheamus, I would sit I had a tour bus at the time that I traveled on, and I would sit on the bus and I was covered in bruises. And I'm a healthy guy. I don't bruise. And meanwhile, I look like I just got mugged or something, and I'm like, why am I so bruised? And I watched the match back. I go, oh, that's why the Irishman's beating the crap out of me. There you go. And Sheamus's chest is all split open where I split his chest open, chopping him, and his lip split and all this stuff. And I said, we're cool, right? He goes, yeah, man, we're great. We're great.
Perfect. Like, we got a bag of hammers here. His name's Taz.
Taz is a bag of hammers,
right,
yes.
Yeah, you and Taz pretty good friends? Or?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of respect for Taz. Taz and I had a lot of fun, a lot of years, a lot of laughs. And Taz was the, I don't want to say miniature version of Big Show because he'll get offended by that.
He gets offended by a lot, apparently.
Yeah,
Taz is Taz. That's why we call him Taz. I mean, he gets hot about lots.
He freezes people out. Do you know that? This is the whole thing down the hallway because he works down the hallway right here, and he has basically frozen a lot of people around here at this radio station out. Now he hasn't frozen me out because
we're big dudes.
We're former professional athletes.
You can't get the AC cold enough.
That's exactly right. We basically appreciate each other, respect each other, that kind of thing. But the rest of the NARPs around here, get frozen out by Taz. I don't know if that's a natural thing or if he's always done that, or is that just something new?
No. As far as keeping the AC cold,
well, I mean, when I say freeze out, he stops talking to people.
No, I mean, Taz has always been one of those kind of guys that if he's your friend, he's great, he's very interactive, but he doesn't have time for silly stuff. Taz isn't a guy that's going to sit at the morning water cooler and talk, oh, did you see last night's episode of so-and-so? No, he's not going to do that.
See that?
Yeah, I'm noticing.
Taz is the kind of guy that comes in, that works hard, that wants to do his job well, that wants to be professional and represent himself well. And the idle Mark chit-chat, he's not going to have time.
That's not him, yeah.
It's just not him. But if you know Taz, he's one of the funniest dudes you've ever met.
Now, we caught him sitting in his car the other day.
It's what he does now because he's frozen so many people out that he won't come up and interact with the staff any longer. So
kind of strange. It's a little strange.
Sits in his car until the show starts.
Players. I worry about ex-wrestlers.
About ex-wrestlers.
It's
I don't know
like
if he's sitting in his car. I don't know.
What's he doing?
Man.
He's like mind training or something?
Yeah, a mindfulness meditation
or something like that.
Oh, yeah. He probably needs a quietness in his car to get his mind. You know what? That works because there's therapy like that, too, with audiobooks where you can hear a mantra or a chant where two voices talking, one in each earbud, because your outer ear can only hear and comprehend one thing, but your subconscious hears all. So there's some meditation that works for like positive reinforcement stuff. Now, if you're telling me that Taz is sitting in the car listening to self-help tapes, I'm going to be really worried about it.
Well, we don't know because everybody's afraid to go near the car. Yeah, like nobody wants to mess with him.
I think he's got in wrestling, we say he's got a good backstage game. That means people leave him alone.
Right, so, absolutely.
I like it.
If you keep people, sometimes it's better to be a tad bit feared than loved.
Talking to the Big Show on Boomer and Geo, what's been the thing most that has kept this WWE model so sustainable and gaining new fans? For example, my wife made me order a pay-per-view the other day. I didn't even know what was going on.
Evolution?
Yeah. So she goes, I got to see this. And I said, okay, sure, let's watch this thing. So what do you think's made it? I mean, years and years and years, from when I was a kid, from when Boomer was a kid, the names changed, but the model has been sustainable. What is it?
Because the model's ever changing and growing and evolving. That's one thing about our product. Our product is different now than it was 10 years ago, and 10 years ago it was different than it was 10 years before that. There's always our company always strives to stay current on what's going on, a lot of the social reflections of what's going on, the mood of the audience, what the audience wants. I mean, and now we're in a very positive women's movement forward of equality and respect, and as it should be. And now you're seeing these tremendous female competitors come forth, and that's changing the landscape of the business. The Evolution pay-per-view, that was the first all-women pay-per-view that was very successful. But you've got tremendous female superstars now. They're not divas anymore. They're not doing pillow fight matches in bra and panties. They're respectable athletes, and in my opinion, there's a lot of the women competitors that are better than our male locker room as far as doing the nuts and bolts of professional wrestling and the in-ring work. They're better.
And the Ronda Rousey thing's working too.
Ronda's doing great. Yeah, she's having a lot of fun with it. It's a big transition for her, I'm sure. But the thing I like about Ronda is she's so positive, just got a great upbeat attitude, and, you know, she's out there having fun doing it. And, you know, she's still a pretty damn serious threat. I mean, she gets that look in her eye. She knows how to hold her hands. I mean, you know, I'm not going to talk smack.
We're talking to the Big Show, 1996 Wrestler of the Year. You know, I always wonder about this in your business because in our business, if a free agent gets a big contract and he wasn't on your team initially and he comes in, you're initially excited, assuming that he's going to play well and all that other stuff. But when he doesn't play well, all of a sudden now there's a little friction in the locker room. I just wonder with, you know, Ronda coming from where she came from, you know, all the promotion and everything around it and all that other stuff. Initially, what was the thought process around her?
I think the locker room's excited about it because you got to look at it from the standpoint of our women's division is fighting for respect and attention. And you bring in a caliber athlete like Ronda Rousey, who is respected, who is a media sensation, that benefits the brand as a whole because now you're bringing new eyes to it. Your wife's never ordered a pay-per-view before.
Right.
But now she's involved, and hopefully we hooked her as a fan. That's what you try to do. It's like P.T. Barnum. You got to get him in the door and make him have a good time. So whatever works. I mean, this is like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar started with us, went to UFC, became very successful in UFC, and now he's still back and forth with us. But Brock is a major attraction and major help for us. People say, oh, why does Brock have the championship? He doesn't work that much. Yeah, but when Brock Lesnar's there, the channel doesn't move.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
Another guy tried to make a football team too. Remember, he tried it with the Minnesota Vikings one year.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. That's another thing about football. Football to me is a completely different animal than any other sport. Just because there's a lot of wrestling involved with that, like with locker room etiquette and locker room respect and veterans, but there's also a level of skill and technique that if you have to take time to think about it, just like boxing, it's already too late. You know, I had a boxing trainer for a long time. He used to call it unconscious competence. You don't have to think about what you're doing. You gut instinct know what to do. And when you get football players at the professional level, that's since Little League, you're not just going to hop into that. I don't think, unless you're the most freaky athlete that ever lived the planet, depending on what position you're in, but you're not going to get into some of those specialty positions and just do it. And that's why, you know, those guys make the money they make, and that's why, you know, they're as talented as they are.
Do drunk idiots try to fight you when you're out because they want to prove a point?
Well, you know, you're going to get that anyway just from being a big guy.
Right, yeah.
You know, but the key to it is don't put yourself in a place where you got to deal with drunk idiots.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean,
right.
When you're younger, you think, oh, I got to defend my respect. And I don't care about my respect. You can insult me, call me whatever you want to. I care about my wallet and going home and going to sleep.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's
My
gonna call
ego's
you
been
anything.
dead
Come on,
for
man.
so long. I don't care, bro. I'm like 2-14 at WrestleMania. I have no ego. Like,
Yeah.
You fat piece of, yeah, you're right. I'm a fat piece of crap. Okay, can I just get my groceries and go now?
Yeah.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry that you're upset that I turned heel for the 48th time.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, but
Right.
it's not my call, bro. I just show up.
Doing
and
what
work.
they tell you to do, man. And you show up and you give a guy a good day's pay, man.
That's it, man.
That's the way it works.
I'm just having fun getting my check.
Big Show,
Yeah.
man. Nice to
Thanks,
meet you, man.
Boomer.
Good luck,
Appreciate
man.
it, man.
WrestleMania 35, MetLife Stadium, April 7th. Tickets on sale tomorrow. You can go to Ticketmaster.com for that. It's going to sell out quick. It's going to be a big deal, WrestleMania, back at MetLife Stadium on April 7th. Big Show, thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I'll actually give you a hug on the way out.
Yeah, if you want
Awesome.
to play in the
Good.
NFL, just try out for the Giants. They could use some offensive linemen. Hey, this holiday season.
I'm sure. Timmy, you see that? He got
I don't know what he was doing. I was scared.